All right, so today we're gonna take this tree from this to something a little more manageable. That's coming up next. Hello everyone, this is Dwayne with Edge of Nowhere Farm, and we're coming to you today on Memorial Day weekend 2018, and you know what, today we really lucked out. It's gonna be about 90 degrees today out here in Whitman, and you know what, for the end of May, in Phoenix, Arizona, for it to be 90 degrees is almost unheard of, so we'll take it. So we're gonna actually take a few minutes and we're gonna do something that we need to get done at the end of our peach season for each one of our peach trees. We've talked a little bit about this tree in the past. In fact, I'm gonna link the video here where we harvest off of this tree. What's behind me is our Florida Prince peach tree. So this tree is about 3.5 years old, and we're basically at the end of its season. So we've been actually harvesting off of it for the last couple of weeks. Not a real big harvest this year because of that early frost. We've talked about that, but what we wanted to show you is we wanted to show you what we do for our summer pruning. And so here in Arizona, we really try to get our summer pruning done now. We really want to get it done before we get into June, especially into July and August, just because everything does have a tendency to struggle just a little bit. So we really want to get the pruning done so it has a chance to grow back. We'll talk more about pruning and why we do summer pruning here in just a minute, but what we're going to do is we're going to show you our final harvest real quick. So Laura and I are going to take a minute. We'll take a quick break, come back to you and show you what our last few fruits coming off this tree look like. That's coming up next. Okay, so Laura and I spent the last few minutes harvesting the rest of our peaches. So this is the final crop. So we got some good sized peaches in here. In fact, this one really looks amazing. I'd eat it for you, but we got other things to do. We got a couple of them that are good size, and a couple that are not quite ripe, but that's okay. Really what it narrows down to with this, we really need to get these last few peaches off the tree because we need to get this tree pruned. So more on pruning. So with summer pruning, so one of the things with peaches, we do the majority of our pruning on our peach trees right now. So even though we're not actually technically summer, you know what, we're in the 100-degree days. Well, not today, but we're essentially in the 100-degree days now. It's summertime for us. So this is truly summer pruning. So what we do as soon as we're done with our final harvest, which is what you're gonna see now, we go ahead and we do our size control pruning. Really kind of the majority of our pruning is done right now on our peach trees specifically. The reason why I've talked a little bit about it in the past is peach trees actually fruit on 1-year-old wood, which means any new growth that this tree puts on basically starting now on in through fall, and we actually have a long growing season left. This tree is going to continue to grow really for the next 5 months or so. Once we get into October, it'll start to finally slow down. So we've got a lot of growth ahead of it. What we really need to do is bring it back down. So one of the things that we're doing this year with this tree is we're actually going to be bringing it up. So we want to increase some of the capacity on this tree. Now that it's a little bit older and more established, we're going to let it top out at about the height you see here, which is probably pushing about 9 to 10 feet. We want it to end that and fruit up to about 8 or 9 feet next year. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring it down to about 5 to 6 feet, so about head height for Lori and I. So that's really what our goal is. Let's talk more about tools. So you've seen, in fact, I'll link the video that we first did on pruning where we went over all of our supplies and the tools that we use. Really only going to use a couple of those today. You'll see our Sun Joe wood chipper here. We have a video on that as well that I can link for you guys so you can see how this works. We won't show you that today, but we will use that for all of the branches and sticks that we have coming off the tree. Need a good pair of bypass pruners. So I use these. These are my Corona bypass pruners. Obviously gloves, eye protection, because these sticks are going to be whipping around, smacking us in the face. We don't want to take an eye out. And then our Lopper pruners in the back. So these are just a Fisker's Lopper pruner. These guys are good up to about 1 3/4 inch cutting capacity. I don't anticipate needing our saw today. I do have a folding saw that you'll see in our pruning video. Really don't plan on taking any branches off that size today. That's one thing that we do try to avoid. So Lori and I are going to go ahead and bring the tree down. So we're going to do a time lapse so you guys can watch us do that. Then we'll cut and come back and talk about a couple more of the details. So that's coming up next. Okay, so we're back. So you should have just seen a time lapse of Lori and I taking this tree down and doing our summer pruning. We still probably have a couple more little detail cuts to do. For the most part though, we're done. So really what you saw was us bringing that size down. The whole idea obviously is that any of the growth that's happening from here on through the next 5 months, which is a very, very long time for us, we want to make sure that that is reachable. So we're not dealing with a tree that's tall and lanky. You know, some of you, if you've seen some of the older growth peach trees that aren't actually trained, they're not pruned on a regular basis and taken care of, you'll see a lot of times that they're very, very tall and leggy. And what happens is that old growth in the middle gets nice and woody and makes it for a nice solid tree. The problem, of course, is there's absolutely no fruit production on there. So and that's the idea. You know, we have these trees because they're beautiful, yes, but more importantly, we want to make sure that they're giving us fruit. That production is what we're looking for. You know, we've had a bad harvest this year, but we've still had, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 2-gallon bucketfuls of peaches. So even as bad as the harvest was, we still get good fruit. They still taste delicious. So the fruit itself still is a good size. It's a good quality fruit. But ultimately what we want to do is bring that down. We want to make sure we're maintaining some of this year's growth. So a lot of what you see here, this is all new growth. So these are going to all be peaches essentially next year. That's the way I look at these branches, these green branches. That's all fruit production for us next year. I don't mind keeping it wide. We may trim it up just a little bit. But also what you didn't see us do is you didn't see us actually training the middle of the tree into the bowl. So one of the things that we don't do here during the summertime, and that's on purpose, is actually creating that bowl in the middle. I do that in the wintertime. So essentially what I do, if it's kind of hard to tell on camera probably, but the first thing I did was I got into the middle of the tree and I leave a little kind of a pathway in the branches. So I trim branches out in the wintertime that gives me a pathway up into the middle of the tree. Easier for me to get around and harvest. Also easier for me to do my summer pruning right now. So, but all those branches in the middle where I started, they're probably closer to about 7 feet tall or so. And that's on purpose. Obviously our sun is tremendously hot and intense. So in the middle of summertime, I just do not want to have that heat and that sun bearing down on the middle of that tree. So I don't open up the bowl during the summertime. What I'll do is I'll go in through the wintertime and take out those bigger branches, probably take the saw or definitely the big loppers and take those bigger branches out. Then I'll create that bowl effect, which will give me that evening ripening on the fruit that will be ripening on the inside of the tree. And we do get very, very evening ripening. In fact, today we went through this last day of harvesting, and I think we had maybe 2 or 3 really, really small pieces of fruit that were simply not going to make it. The rest of them are about the size of the palm of my hand, so about the size of a baseball, maybe a little bigger than a baseball. So they ripen very consistently and very evenly, and the reason why is they have that consistent sunshine in the middle of the tree to allow them to ripen. So just want to thank you for joining us today. And you know what, if you haven't done so already, hey, subscribe to our channel. We've got a lot of exciting content coming up, especially if you like fruit trees and things like this. You know, again, our meat production starts to go down in the summertime. We don't keep as many animals, but all of our fruit trees really ramp up. We got a lot of things right now that are in production that are going to be ripening. And we've got a lot of cool trees that we're going to be showing you over the summertime as well. Even if they're not quite giving us edible fruit yet, we'll share some of those varieties with you as well. So hey, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. You know, give us a like. If you like this video and you like content like this, let us know by liking the video. Also helps us share the content. You know, if you've got any fruit geeks, fruit nerds that you know that might be interested in this, you know, share it with them. Share our channel with them. I think they might like it as well. And hey, you know, if you have any comments or questions, you know, leave them down in the comment section below. Lori and I really enjoy interacting with you guys. So, you know, any questions, comments, good or bad, hey, we'll take them all. So just want to thank you for joining us today and remind you, if we can farm on the edge of nowhere, so can you. Okay, so today we're gonna whack this. We're gonna whack this thing down. We're gonna whack it.